Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your first class in your preparation for your leadership skills. Most of you might be new here at the court, and they're going to be taking a series of leadership courses, and today the first one is going to be all about coaching. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed today's class. Today we're going to cover a few things about coaching. And we're going to first go over what are some characteristics of a good coach. We're going to talk about a coaching cycle and how you can use that when you're coaching employees due to behavior issues or even just as development. We're going to talk about the steps or the discussion steps that you're going to be using when you're having these conversations. We're going to talk about some key practices, and then we're going to summarize the day, and I'm going to give you some homework. So coaching. I think a lot of people have a negative connotation when it comes to coaching. They think that it's something bad or I did something wrong, and that's not always the case. Coaching is also can be used as far as a motivational tool to help someone improve. Maybe they really want to get to that next promotion, or they want to get to that next level. So in order to be a good coach, you need to be able to evaluate performance. You're going to need to be able to provide specific feedback as it relates to performance, and not just generalizing it, but you're going to be having expectation and goals that they're going to have. So it's going to be tied into the specifics of the goal and the expectations of that specific job duty or task. So when you're evaluating and when you're providing feedback, you want to be clear and concise. Another element of a good coach, you're going to develop strengths of employees. It's not just taking the weaknesses and developing them, but it's taking their strengths and improving them, getting them to the next level. It does involve improving weaknesses. We all can have areas to improve on in our professions. So it can be used as a tool when trying to help develop someone in an area that they might need some additional coaching in. And a good coach also encourages and they cheerlead. They're positive. They are excited and they're motivated about the coaching. It doesn't have to be mean or confrontational, but it needs to be encouraging so they have the faith and that the support that they need in order to achieve the goal. So there's a coaching style. And when you're coaching somebody, you want to be clear. You probably have already set clear expectations and goals, but you really want to make sure that the employee knows specifically what it is that you're talking about. You don't necessarily want to come out harsh. You're concerned about their behavior. Their behavior is something that was either said or something that was done, and you're there to help coach them through that. So in order to do that, you have to observe performance. You have to be available. You have to be out on the floor. You have to know what your team is doing and how they're behaving. And you also want to give feedback. Feedback is extremely important with coaching. A lot of times you hear people going to get their performance evaluation and maybe they don't get the rating that they thought. Because all year long, nobody's told them that they're doing anything incorrect. Maybe all year they've just been heard that they're doing things great. And maybe you are, but that doesn't mean that there's not room for improvement or growth. So giving feedback is extremely important. It'll help those performance evaluations be more smooth, and you'll have more conversation to discuss with the employee when you're there. So one of the things that people or leaders often come to human resources about is they're having trouble. How do I talk to this person? What if they cry? We have different personalities in the workplace, and some people are very emotional. Some people get angry. Some people shut down. They feel they're being attacked. So it really comes down to the leader and how they handle the actual conversation with the employee. So one of the first things that you're going to do in this 5-step process is you want to open this discussion in a friendly manner. You want to identify the performance problem. Okay, so you don't need to be super friendly where you're they're thinking that maybe they're going to get a raise. You don't want to be overabundant, but you want to be friendly and you want to be courteous. You want to be professional and you want to specifically talk about the problem. You also want to ask the employee, what do they think is causing the problem? With coaching, you'll often find that the employee already knows this. Maybe they've just been waiting for you to say something, or maybe they've just been waiting for some more help or some guidance from the leader, because maybe they recognize this problem, but maybe they're not sure what it is that's causing it. So having this two-way conversation, coaching is not just the leader talking to the employee, telling them what to do. This really becomes a partnership. After you've identified the problem and maybe the cause of the problem, together you want to talk about possible solutions. Ask them what they think first. Then you can offer some feedback or some input off of that. But you want to be prepared. You already want to know what the problem is, the cause, and the solutions are. You need to know those things going into this coaching conversation. But you really want to engage them, because when employees feel engaged, they're more likely to perform and accept the feedback that they're receiving. The fourth thing that you guys are going to want to make sure that you're doing is you need to gain commitment. You need to gain commitment on actions to be taken. So you need to feel energized. You need to feel pumped up about it. So when you've reached this solution together, you want to say, okay, so we're going to do this together, okay? And then you're going to follow up, to make sure that this behavior is being improved upon. Not just, we'll look at something next week. It needs to be specific. It needs to be put on a calendar, whether you email them, putting it, in their Outlook. However, your organization, or how we're doing it here in our organization, we're going to make sure that you put it on the calendar so they know exactly when it is, because that gives them confidence. That gives them confidence in knowing that they have a goal to look forward to. They have 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever the time frame that you guys have committed to and followed up on. And that way it shows the employee that you're invested in them. You want them to achieve this goal. You want them to do more, or you want them to do better. So this 5-step process really involves both you and your employee being able to trust each other and build that respect and have this professional conversation so they don't walk away feeling defeated. They want to leave feeling empowered, like, I'm going to prove to my boss that I can do this. And that's really what you want to get from the discussion. Some key practices with coaching, as we mentioned earlier, sometimes some of you guys have coached before, maybe some of you haven't. This might be brand new to you. But what you really want to make sure that you do is you want to focus on the problem and not the person. Okay? Do not focus on them. Maybe they have some other outside influences or problems that they're going through, which may be contributing to this behavior or performance that you're trying to improve upon. But you really want to focus on the problem, not the person. And asking the employee, getting their buy-in, asking for their suggestions, getting feedback from them. This really helps lead to them to gain that commitment and want to do this for themselves and for you. But it builds a relationship between you and the employee. It builds their self-esteem. It builds support, and it helps the employee know that you're on their side and you together are going to try and work on this. They're going to have their specific things that they're going to have to work on, but they're going to know that you're going to be there if they need any sort of guidance or assistance. So overall today we talked about coaching, and really you are problem solving, because you're, as we talked about in the key steps, you're finding out what the problem is and you're gaining commitment and you're coming up with a solution together. And you want to make sure that you give them this positive recognition too, because a lot of times people resist change and they don't want to, just give in. And maybe it's because they don't feel secure, or maybe they feel that, their vision about how this should be is not the right way, or maybe they're proud or it's their right way. You never know. And you might have some employees challenge you, but you'll find that more often than that, the better your communication is with your employees, these conversations won't be scary for you and they will not be scary for the individual either. So it's something that you really have to work on in the workplace. You want to be specific. You want to make sure that that it is something serious, but you want to make sure that they know that you're on their side, as we talked about, and you're going to be able, to help them. Be specific when you give positive reinforcement or recognition on the floor. Don't just say good job. It sounds fake. It doesn't sound meaningful. Be specific. What was it that they did that made it a good job? And make sure that employees, are recognized for the things that you've done or that they've done, because it makes them go a long way. Don't just assume that they know that they're doing a good job. Because if you never say anything about what they're doing and you're only focusing on something bad, then they're not going to feel that anyone values the good things that they do. So when you give recognition for something good, make sure that it's specific and it's sincere, that it comes from your heart. So what I want you guys to do this week when you go back on the floor, I want everybody to say something positive, and I want it to be specific. And when we meet next time for our next class, which I believe is going to be on motivation, I want you guys to share some of the ways that you were able to incorporate coaching or just some recognition. Thank you guys for coming today, and I hope you guys have a great week.